Hello and welcome to another one of our tech demos. Today we are going to be looking at how we change variables that we create. First, let's take a look at doing this in a C# scripting approach. So in my hierarchy, I'm going to create another empty game object. So just come over here, create an empty, and let's name this guy Score Manager. And since I'm working with C# script, I'm going to go over to my inspector on the right-hand side. I'm going to add component, and I'm going to type in script if I don't already have it in there, like so, and choose a new script. And I'm going to name my script as follows. So let's name this Score Manager. And click Create and Add, press Enter. That's going to create that script file for me, and it's going to do a few computations. And keep in mind, if you're going to keep this cleaned up and mine's dumping them inside the assets, I'd like to keep this organized. So I'm going to just drag that over into the scripts folder that I made in our previous episodes. So you can see here, now I've got my Score Manager set up in here. And of course, that's going to have our default Unity on start and on update, and get it to do really anything. We're going to need to double click that, open that up in our editor. I'm using Microsoft Visual Studio, and we're going to work on the code here. Now, normally I have you guys wipe this out, but we're going to start getting used to keeping some of this in here in case we need to start an update, and we'll actually take advantage of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in and I'm going to declare the variable, which is going to be a private integer. So I'm just going to come up here right above this, give me some space after this first bracket, and I'm going to declare my variable here, and I'll say what I'm doing right here, and a comment. Like that. And in this case, it's just going to be a private integer, and I'll name it score, and I'll initialize it to be 0 to begin with. So private means that it's not available to you publicly outside of this. This is just inside this public Score Manager class. So I'm going to set this up to do an initialization inside start. So I'll come down here to start, and let's give us some space so you guys can see what's going on inside there. So I'm inside the sandwich buns for start, and I'm going to go ahead and just put a comment here saying that I'm going to plan to increase the score by 10. So at the beginning of the game or beginning of my app, I'm just going to add 10 to the score. So I can do that shorthand style with score and plus equals, which essentially says set the value of score equal to what score's current value is, plus what I put on the right-hand side. You'll see this type of shorthand a lot inside C# code. It's essentially the same thing as saying score is equal to score plus 10. But this is shorter, takes up less memory, faster to type as you get used to it. So that's what it's doing. So it's score is equal to whatever score currently is plus 10. So it reassigns the value of score to be plus 10. All right. And we won't see anything unless we do some type of log. So I'll make a comment here for that, and we'll put a debug log in so we can see what our value is. And so what I've done there is essentially just gave a comment saying that I'm going to log the new score, and I'm looking to add this text in front of the actual value of the score. Otherwise, I just get a number and I don't know what that number is, especially if I have a lot of debug logs. Clean up my code, get rid of some of these extra spaces in here. I like to leave at least one while I'm running these videos. And nothing's going on inside update, but let's go ahead and save. Everything so far, at least within Visual Studio, is happy, green bars. So we'll jump back over and run our code over here inside Unity Editor. So once it's done updating and compiling our scripts, I'm going to switch over to the console here, and I'm going to hit play. And once that's done running, I can see, yes, indeed, right here in my console that it has output that the score is 10. And you'll notice that this has only happened one time because this only happened when the game started. So that very first initial start. Let's try something a little bit different before we leave this and go on to visual scripting alternative. And what we're going to do is, what would have happened if we had done that inside on update instead of inside of on start? So just go back. I'm going to double click on Score Manager, pull this guy back up. This is the code we just wrote. And if I carefully select all the code in between here, and I can hit Control X to cut it out, and then come down here, give myself some space so I don't accidentally, be very careful not to accidentally delete one of your brackets, and paste that in. Essentially, I've moved the code that I wrote to happen inside the update function or the update method versus the start method. So if I save this, what's going to happen is it's going to do this function every time the frame updates inside the game. So this is going to happen very fast if I'm running at 60 or 120 frames per second. So every frame, not every second, but every frame is going to add 10. So if it's 60 frames a second, it's going to add 60 times 10 every second. So let's see if that's what happens. We'll hop back over here, let it do its update. Jump over to our console, hit play. Hopefully we didn't have any typos. And right away you see that it's generating very fast numbers, and this is scrolling along on the side. You can also see that there's several more than one. So essentially, as expected, it is increasing and adding 10 every time the frame updates. So yes, indeed, we successfully did what we expected it to do. All right, let's take a look at how to do this visual scripting now. So I'll clear out these drawings. Let me clear out the console by hitting clear here. And I'm going to come back over here and take a similar approach. I'm going to create a new empty game object. We'll call this Score Manager 2. Like so. And similarly, I'm going to go over to add component, but as we know, when we're doing scripting, we're going to use the script machine instead of a new script. So I'll hit script machine. And of course, I'm going to switch this to embed. So I'm just embedding this inside of here. So I need to create the mechanics for this. So I'm going to need to create a variable for this, so forth. I'm just going to do that all straight inside the graph. So I'm going to click Edit Graph. And likewise, since we want to kind of test that out, I'm not going to delete both of these guys here, but I will come over here inside my graph, and I'm just going to create a score2 variable. That way it doesn't conflict with the other one in case I need these both to be accessible inside a later bit of code. And this is going to be an integer, so I'll initialize it and set it to be an integer there. All right, so now we need the code to do stuff. So let's go ahead and get that set up. So first things first, we need to get the variable and set the source to the graph. We'll do that now. I'm going to hit Add Node. Do a get variable here. And since I've already created it, I'm going to get the score2 variable right there. And all right, now I'm going to need it to do something. You notice that there's no flow variable that just got the score2. So I'm going to need to add a math node in here to be able to add something to this. So let's go ahead and look for math add or something like that. Not seeing what I want inside there. So let's look the other way around. And there we go. Add, and I'm just going to do a generic add. So I'll take this and let's take this as value A. So we will be adding score in A, and it needs to add with something. So what do I want to add by? Let's go ahead and create another integer node. So add integer, and we can say, let's add a literal integer in here. And let's say we're going to add in, well, so we'll put it in here and add that in. So we have a get variable, we have an add, but we need to set the variable so that something happens. So we'll go over here and say add node. And we're going to set that score2. And on start, kind of connecting these all the way across. And you'll see how it gives me the orange warning, and that means it needs to have the value coming in from the output from here. All right, now that I've got this, I'm going to pull these over a little bit so we got some more room. And we've got all of our functions in here, but we have no way of really kind of seeing what it is unless we wanted to kind of always have script graph open. But let's kind of start moving towards the same parallel with doing the C# method. So let's go ahead and add a debug log node inside here so we get used to that, because we'll need that for debugging when we code this way. So debug, type it there. Do a debug log message, pop this in here, and I'm going to connect this over here. You can see it's that here. Now, if I connect this over here, we can have it dump out just the number. Obviously, that's going to give me just the score. So we'll leave it with that, but we could come back in and build additional nodes to be able to have it say score equals, and then this. So this is just going to give me the number because that's what's coming through our pipeline. So I'm going to connect this guy right here and double check all my setups. I've got score 2 on start. This should be telling me what score 2 is, and we'll go back over here. Now, keeping in mind that I still have that code from before, let's hit play. And I didn't have the console up, but let's go ahead and hit pause or stop on this a second. And if I scroll all the way back up to the beginning, because I have the other one spamming me there, you'll notice that there's one right here at the beginning that doesn't say score 10. This one right here just says 10. And that's the one that's coming out of my visual script. The other one's going and going and going based off of the C# script. So how do we get that same type of ongoing feedback loop inside visual scripting? Well, you probably guessed it. We just need to change what we're doing here from on start to on update. So we'll do this, and let's go ahead and break the on start, because this is legal too. This would call it once on start and every frame on update, but we don't need it if we're doing it on update already. So let's just disconnect that one so that it's exactly the same as what we had in our C#. And we will hit play and watch over here, and I'll clear out those boxes for you guys while it's compiling. And sure enough, we'll see over here. Now we get in our console both the number and score number showing in there, coming from the visual scripting as well as from the C# scripting. So exactly the same functionality using two different methods. All right, great job, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Check us next time for another tech demo. Have a good week.